Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel, also known as Yatuza with DB Academy, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make tracks like the ones on Sub-Liminal Recordings. So without further ado, let's get into the program. Okay, so before we get started, all of the sounds that are used in this project are part of D&B Academy sample packs, so if you're interested in any of these sounds, please make sure to check our website, and you can find a bunch of more sample packs there. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you what the track sounds like. Cool. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the drum pattern and the percussions. And I'll show you how I went about doing the main pattern on the tune. Okay, so this is what the kick and the snare sounds like. And as you can see, it has a double kick, and I've chosen the main prominent kick to be unfiltered. So this is that kick right here, the first one that's sounding. And I grab the same kick onto another layer and I filter that one. So this one's filtered here. So it sounds a bit softer. And for the snare, it has two layers. One of them is taken out of a break. So if we listen to the whole break here, you can hear that I've pitched it up as well. Now the snare that's part of this break here is pitched up, and I've got it layered with another snare that I've also pitched up. And on the snare, I've cut all the lows out of it. And I also have a hybrid reverb with a really short decay. And I pitched it up with a frequency shifter. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here on the texture VST. And here I'm just adding some white noise with about 53 dry, decay of 51 milliseconds, and I filtered out all the low end on this digital white noise. So I'm just adding a little bit of white noise on top of the snare here, and I've got the mix at 53% of the filter so that it's high passing any of the low end here, and the decay around 51 milliseconds. I also added some reverb here at the end, just so that it has a small variation within the loop. And on the main layer, I have it with the glue compressor so that it's soft clipping. On the drum bus for the kick and snare, I also have a glue compressor with the soft clipping on. And I have the image line wave shaper here, which is adding some saturation and volume. And this is how it sounds without it. And this is the hi-hat loop. So I have it so that there's an open hat on top of the snare here, of the first snare. And the second open hat here is a little bit offbeat. And I've got the main hat here, and the second hat, which is a bit faster, I have it with a texture, so that it's adding some grittiness. And here I've got it at 63% dry, with a decay of 51 milliseconds. I've also filtered out all that low end, and I pitched it up 24 semitones. And I'm using the guitar scrape texture. On the tops bus, I've also have, apart from the sidechain, I have an EQA that's cutting out all the low end, and I have an amp at around 6.35% on the blues setting, with the output set to mono. So this is what the drum loop sounds like, the kick, the snare, and the tops. I also wanted to add some faster hi-hats for the second part. So this is how I added them. I made sure to add some silences where I wanted the emphasis on the snare. And that would be it for the drums. The next thing that we're going to take a look at is the bass. So for the basses, I wanted to show you the original pattern that I had made and how I ended up making the one that I wanted to show you on this video. So this is what that bass loop sounds like before I went ahead and resampled it. Okay, so the basses are from the Bristol Tech bass sample pack, and I've just chosen one here and I've automated the filter so it kind of opens up where I wanted to after I've duplicated it. I've added a limiter, some sidechain, and some erosion with some filtering on the high end here so that it doesn't have too much crisp. And then I just kind of have it opening up over time. And that one's not too complex. It's just a filtered bass from the sample pack, and I have it automated at the point where I want it to open up. And I've just duplicated it in a place where I've liked it. For the answer bass on this loop, I've also done the same thing. I've just kind of automated the filter here so that it opens up where I want it to. Now for the second bass here, after I've filtered it and automated the LFO, I added some trash. So this is a new trash plugin, and I've used the preset disintegrational obesity. So this is what's giving it that mid-high distortion and grittiness. And the main movement is coming from the LFO within the filter here. So I automated the amount here on the LFO. And so after it makes that first womp, I have the LFO come on, and that's making the cutoff wobble at a rate of 112 here with the shape of a sine wave. And I've also automated the resonance so that it starts at around 11% and it goes down to 0. And for the second time it comes in, I've just duplicated the first womp here before it comes back in. And on this bass loop, I put it up 1 semitone so that it varies a little bit. And I've also automated the reverb. And so I've automated the reverb here at the beginning of the bass so that each time that it comes in within a small space. And that would be it. I mean, at the end here, I've also automated a delay. And since I thought it wasn't enough, then I went ahead and resampled the whole bass. As you can see, I have the whole bass here resampled onto another channel. So it's the same bass, but I wanted to resample it to see if I can get any other variations from it, or maybe hear another opportunity for the main riff of the song. And so I've chosen a place here in that main bass loop where I've kind of liked how the sub is pushing through. And I put the growls or the main womps here at the beginning. And so that's going to be like my one shot before the main bass comes in. And the place where I've chosen the sub bass to come through here. And I've duplicated the main loop at a spot where the sub bass was pushing through how I liked it. And I went ahead and automated a filter as well. And I've drawn in the shape myself. And after doing that, I duplicated the channel to make the mid layer. And I'll go ahead and show you the processing for this layer. So it still has that main movement here, as you can see, coming from the filter, but I've cut out all the low end from it with an auto filter, and I've added a thermal. I just went through the presets, and so I've liked one, and I've chosen this rich aggression one with the aggression knob turned all the way up, and the dry wet at around 70%. After that, I've added an OTT and some convolution reverb with a really short decay to put it in a room. So let me show you how it sounds like without the convolution reverb and the OTT, because that's making quite a difference. And this is with OTT and the convolution reverb on. And I wanted to make sure it didn't have any low end, so I put an EQ8 after the convolution reverb. And this auto filter here is just teasing the bass at the beginning. So I have it automated so that it cuts absolutely all the mid lows up until the drop where it comes back in. And I have the glue compressor at the end here with the soft clipping turned on. Now the third layer that's coming through here is actually the same bass, but I've run it through a different thermal. So it has the same processing, it just has a different thermal preset. And I made sure to also cut out all the low end, because it's the same bass as we're using as the main bass line, but the mids are just getting distorted in another way. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty simple loop. I did want to go ahead and show you how I resample the bass. Maybe you can get some cool techniques for your own tracks here. And then for the intro, I've added some breaks, which is pretty standard on any Sub-Liminal Recordings tune. And for the intro, I have just kind of like a drone and a pad. Some standard stuff here, not too complicated. And for the pad, I played just a couple notes. And I have it automated so that the volume is going down, because on the main drone here, I have a frequency shifter that's pitching the pad down at the end. So this is adding that tension right before the drop. And on the pad here, I put an echo boy on it just to add some stereo image onto that sound. As you can hear with the echo boy, it sounds much wider. And yeah, that's about it for the intro. I've just added some effects from the pack and made sure to fill it up. But that would be it for this track. So yeah, so I hope that you enjoy the walkthrough through the track and that you've learned some new tips for your own tracks. And I'll go ahead and show you what the track sounds like one more time before we end the video. Okay, so if you like this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.